You're very welcome. Today, we have a very interesting topic. But first, Happy New Year. I hope it's not too late to say Happy New Year. I know the month is already coming to an end, but from us here at XENO, we want to say Happy New Year to you all. Thank you for joining us for the very first webinar of the year, where we have the pleasure to have very candid conversations on how to navigate and grow in the sphere of personal finance. So today our topic is starting strong, financial practices for wealth and well-being. A little bit about who we are. XENO's mission is to ensure that whatever your dream is, whether it's owning your own home, securing your children's education, you have simple and smart tools to keep you on track to achieving these goals. Yeah. So you're very welcome. We are joined by two lovely ladies. Ladies first, we all know that. One is Dr. Noeline Kirabo, a personal and business development coach. She has been at this game for a decade and a few years. So she comes with a wealth of experience, and we are ready to learn from her. And then next is Esther Nakangu, our very own Vice President Advisory here at XENO Investment. And your host today, I am Irene Mirembe, and I serve on the advisory team here as an investment advisor here at XENO Investment. So you can learn more about us by visiting our website, www.myxeno.com. MyXeno is not Z, it is X. So please make sure you hit us up there, and then let's have a chat. So making sure to attend an info session next week where you can learn more about what we do. Now, on to our topic this evening. The start of the year is a time we focus to plan and strategize for the upcoming year. I remember when we were younger, we used to set resolutions, but even now, and we would write so many things we want to do for the year. But when you grow up, you realize the financial goals are actually very critical. Then we would set all sorts of goals, as you can imagine. But now we set financial goals because we know how finances are a big part of our well-being. Yeah, so I'll ask our guests to introduce themselves. I'll start with you, Dr. Noeline. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Irene. Good evening, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Very welcome. Noeline Kirabo is my name, and I represent CHUSA and CHUSA Academy. We are an entrepreneur support organization very committed to supporting micro, small, and medium enterprises to scale through tailored training, mentoring, and market linkages. We have been at it since 2014. And as a person, I am very, very passionate about unlocking potential in young people, helping people thrive through different tailored programs that I run. And so today I'm excited talking about money because I know that financial literacy, financial management are core to actualizing your potential and actually actualizing your dreams as well. So I am excited to be here, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Noeline. Esther, over to you.
Thank you, Irene. A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you to today's webinar, the series of Starting Strong. I am particularly very passionate about this part of my life because one, I love to teach all about finances, personal financing specifically, but I also love to see different people meeting their targets at the end of a period. So now is a good time for many of us to start our journeys, at least all through this year, and I'm very excited to be part of this panel. Thank you, Irene.
All right, thank you, ladies. Our audience, you're Most welcome once again. You heard it from the ladies, from the beautiful ladies. I'll start with you, Esther. What is your best business advice you have ever received?
Thank you very much. My best business advice, looking back, that I've received is, I think it was three things in a go. One was know your craft. Don't ever sell something to someone who knows it better than you, because you won't sell them. That's one. Know your craft. The second thing is start lean. And later on, I found out that once you start lean, the chances of scaling upwards are much higher than the chances of scaling downwards. The third thing is always track your progress. And obviously, looking back, I see that for the things whose progress I've tracked, especially those that I've had to spend money on, the ones that have had clear budgets that are followed have seen the light of day vis-a-vis the ones that were spontaneous in the way I was working towards them.
Okay, thank you so much. Tracking progress. Okay, we're going to hear more about that because I think this is one of those areas that many have to learn and relearn or unlearn. Yeah, so I'm happy that we are here to learn from the best. Dr. Noeline?
Thank you. The best business advice that I received, I remember, was really in the early stages of my first enterprise that I registered, and it was think long term. As an entrepreneur, as an innovator, sometimes you're very excited. Starting an initiative sometimes is like giving birth. You're excited. You're so passionate about your baby that you lose perspective of many things. And I remember sitting with this gentleman and says, before you pour your heart and soul into this thing, be sure you want to go the entire 9 yards. And that was a wake up call because I was excited. I felt like, yeah, this is it. I want to do it. And he began to ask me, do you see yourself doing this 5 years from now? What about 10? What about 20? Do you see yourself retiring in this initiative? And it got me thinking, why am I even starting? And it also got me thinking right from the initial stages that I was building for something longer. And that also reminds me the second thing was about systems, because oftentimes you're waiting to grow big to build systems and structures in businesses. You're thinking, oh yeah, when I have a team, then I'll do the policies. Oh wait, yeah, when I have this, it becomes harder to rebuild structures when your business has grown. It's just like a house. Once you have built the shell and you've moved in, it is so hard to remold your house while you're inside. And so those two things have kept me grounded, knowing that I don't have to wait until we are big for me to do the right thing. Start early because then it's easier to grow with it. And then also to think about the long term. Think about the sustainability. Think about succession planning right from the beginning. Do you see yourself handing over this thing to someone else? What's the exit strategy? Because then that will help you build momentum and pace you right.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, what a start. Thank you so much, Dr. Noeline. You know, those questions are very, very, very interesting because in this part of the world where we live as a developing economy, many of us start things and we don't actually have sight of the long term. So it is very good to know that, you know, this is the best advice you've received. Esther, are you an early bird or a night crawler?
I am definitely a night crawler. I struggle with the mornings quite a bit. If I have any things I struggle with in my world, it is the morning.
Hey, so
Yeah.
now I have an idea. What about you, Dr. Noeline?
I am a super morning person. I can write a research paper at 4 a.m.
Okay, interesting. Dr. Noeline, vision board or a list of your goals?
I would say one complements the other. It's a chicken and egg thing. Vision board definitely does make more sense because it gives you perspective. I would start with a vision board, and then this list, if it's coming from a vision board, it makes sense. If the two are not related, then you are just taking a walk in the park because you're not going anywhere. So vision board, I believe, should come first. The long perspective should set the momentum for what I'm doing in the intermediate, and in the short term.
I like that. It's a lot to do with what we do here at XENO. We tell people if you're going somewhere, you need to have first the destination in mind before you even embark on the journey. So that makes a lot of sense. Thanks so much. Esther?
Yes, vision board for me. I love to have the graphical view of things. So I usually start the side of vision board because it allows me to put my brain things in my mind to paper quickly. So I'm able to scribble things on different sticker notes and put them in different places. But also I'm able to sieve through and see what I can drop, what I can keep, depending on a number of things: time constraints, budget constraints, resource constraints, what will take priority over the other. Then from that, I'm able to create a list that is a little more meaningful than the unstructured thoughts that were in my mind. So like Dr. Noeline said, one complements the other. It's not an either or situation. But for me, it's vision board for the start.
Okay. And Esther, before you go, what is your go-to hack to stay productive?
I keep telling the people around me that I have unnecessary energy. For as long as it's not morning, I'm good. I will stay productive. A hearty laugh would do it for me. I am a sweet tooth, so a Fanta would go a long way to keep me on like 100% battery level till midnight or 1, when my brain eventually decides, you know what, you have an early morning tomorrow, so go down. But if I didn't have to be up the next day, that one Fanta would take me through till probably 3 a.m. And that'd be good.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Esther. Esther, not too much Fanta, please. Please, please. We still need you for very long. But thanks. Thank you so much. Dr. Noeline, your go-to hack to stay productive?
I am a tools person. So things like planners, calendars, journals, diary, name it. I am a pen and pencil kind of person. I like to write it down. So I always have a planner. I always have a notebook with me and pen, and that helps me keep structured. Actually, my planner stays open the whole day so that as I'm going through my day, I am tracking what's my progress. And then am I doing the most important things? Am I staying on track with my appointments? Sometimes it's also just cross-checking, especially if you're dealing with meetings in different time zones, to be sure you actually set it right and you got the time right. So for me, I'm consistently referencing my planner and Google Calendar. Those are my go-to places, and consistently tracking. And at the end of the day, I also like to sit with myself and review. I journal and review at the end of every day to see what did I do right? Why was I unproductive? What was going on in my mind? Where are my emotions? What could have stopped me? And also project what could I do better the next day. So for me, I'm a stickler for systems, structures. Like things have to be written and following through consistently.
Oh, wow. Wow. No wonder you are a coach because you follow through, and that's amazing. That's amazing. Our audience, I just want to invite you to share yours in the link that is going to be provided. Please look out for it. What is your key financial goal in 2024? Share, and let's see what we have in common. We could be having many things in common. Okay. So once again, welcome everyone. Many people find making New Year resolutions a fickle process. What are your thoughts on this? Let me start with you, Dr. Noeline. I don't know if it's me alone, but many people find this not as easy. Over to you.
Good. Thank you. I am smiling because I recently wrote a blog article about why you should set goals and not resolutions. Because for me, resolutions are like wishes. You're hoping, I want, I hope, I wish. And you know the English saying that if wishes were horses, even beggars would ride. So I am into goals, set clear goals. And when we talk about goals, what normally happens is many people want to do short-term goals. The thing about short-term goals is that they're exciting because you can quickly achieve it. And then it could also flip on the other side that if you don't achieve your short-term goals, then you're going to either get derailed, discouraged, and then you just give up on the entire process. So I'm of the school of thought that when it comes to setting goals, start with the big picture. So what's your vision? I like to ask people, what's your legacy? What do you want to be remembered for? What's the big thing that you're living for? And then can we break it down to, okay, what are your 10-year projections? What are your 5 years? What are your 3 years and 2 years? And so your short-term goals should fit into the long-term. So what happens, for example, when I say but this is an example. Someone says they want to build a house in the next 3 years. That's a long-term goal. Now, most people will kind of leave it on the horizon and then wake up 3 years later and start wondering, how am I building the house? But so bring that into, okay, I'm building in 3 years. What's the first milestone? I want to buy land. Set that for your next season. After you buy the land, then what's the next thing you want to do? You will find that over the course of 3 years, you're working on this long-term goal, but in smaller milestones, which have become your short-term projections. So the key to setting effective goals is not just thinking about, I want to pay school fees. That's a very short thing. Then what happens after you pay school fees? And equal with the goals is the fact that what we're talking about today is many people don't think about the cost of their goals. You said we used to do it as children. Unfortunately, some people still do. I've had the notion dreaming is free, the hustle is real. So some people set their goals and hope and pray that they come to pass. However, as a responsible adult, you also want to think about what is it going to cost me to achieve this thing? And then going into the whole process of budgeting and thinking about what's my saving capacity and where is this money coming from that I'm going to save and how am I going to save it and then how am I going to invest it. So it's a whole process and not just being excited, oh yeah, the year is starting, so I hope and wish that I actually achieve this. It's being intentional with your life, having a big plan for your life, thinking about where you want to be in the future, and then begin to take baby steps in the now, which are your short-term goals and projections.
Okay. Wow. But you see, Dr. Noeline, some of us went to schools where no one told us the things. So we grow up, finish school, get a job, and you just start getting money. And how should we handle this? Because many people do not have this, are not lucky to have some of this knowledge.
My suggestion would be two things. One, if you're here and you've never gone through a financial literacy class, the next time you see a call for a financial literacy class, run for your dear life. Why? Because this is something we are not taught in school, but it's a game changer. Just understanding how do finances work. And then two, if you do not get that opportunity, in this day, in this knowledge age, ignorance is not an excuse. Try Mr. Google. Go out there, go and ask Google about questions, whether it's financial literacy. The materials are there. There are so many open source resources that you can download and read on your own. Educate yourself about finances. I like to say we plan for many things, but finances is one of those things where people say, if the Lord wills, why isn't it that the Lord wills on other things? Like plan, be intentional, because also I also recognize that many of us have grown up in homes where we don't talk about finances. Even me growing up, my parents never talked about finances. These are things I've learned as an adult. And so you have to break certain cycles for you to be able to start a whole new generation for you and your children, so that the next generation is better empowered because you're a better empowered parent. So take the initiative, find information, YouTube videos. There are all kinds of manuals online. Just acquire knowledge about basic financial literacy. It will change how you live your life.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. Thank you. The keyword for me there is intentional. Audience, you heard from the lovely lady. Please be intentional. And I know that you're here because you're being intentional about your finances. So thank you. Esther, I will hand it over to you.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much, Irene. So this New Year's resolution situation is very interesting. Many times, like you rightfully put it, many New Year's we've attempted to set these resolutions, and we've gotten to October, like, unfortunately, and then you move on to, you know what, let's just live life as it is. I've been part of those people until I got to the point where I figured, you know what, am I making this very complicated? Could it be that the way I'm structuring my New Year's resolution is very complicated, that I find myself struggling halfway or quarter way or three-quarter way into it to stay afloat. So I remember one of my birthdays, I think it was my 24th. I felt like I had worked so hard, and yet on that particular birthday, I was very sad because I felt like I hadn't achieved or accomplished the things that I thought I should have accomplished at that time. And it's very interesting. So I spoke to one of my very close friends who seemed to be ahead of me in the game at the time. Very close friend. He also thought at the time that I was ahead of the game. I was ahead of him in the game. So when we spoke, he told me, you know what? Let's try something. Let's try to break it down into basics. And from that time, I tried something new that I found to work for me. As I start my year, there are three key things I look at. My personal growth, personal in the sense of my physical body. What are those things I want? What weight do I want to alternate in? Is it what kgs basically do I want my body to be in? How physically fit or unfit am I willing to be this year? What can I take? What can't I take? Why? Because the body is what is going to enable you to be productive. The body is that fuel. It's going to deliver those big things that you want to achieve. That's one. The second thing that we agreed to do that time was set clear professional growth targets. What are those small targets professionally that you want to achieve that are going to help you increase your chances of earning or your ability to earn more or expand your span of earning? It's interesting. At that time, I was in the corporate world, and that my friend was on the startup world. He had hustled through the very, very brilliant guy. He currently runs one of the biggest startups that I've seen. He was in the startup world, same age we were pushing. So at that time, we figured for both of us, the professional growth of our own selves and the physical growth of our own selves was very important if we were going to prepare ourselves for the financial growth or the growth of that, or the targets, achieving the targets that we wanted to set for ourselves. You note that most of the targets we like to quickly set are financial targets, but then we forget that we're the ones that are going to work towards these targets. So at that time, I remember we said we're going to be very intentional about our bodies, but also our professional career growth. We had a trader at the time who joined us, and we said, you know what, we are going to ensure that by the end of the year, we are better professionally than we were at the start of the year. That's the second thing we decided to chase. The third thing we decided to chase was the financial growth. Now, financial growth, looking back, I realized it becomes easy if your body is in tune and your professional growth trends are positive. Because chances are your output is higher as a person, and therefore you attract the right crowds. The right crowds could be the right clients, could be the right employers, could be the right partners, the right funders, could be many things, because your productivity is better. Now, when we got to the point of setting financial goals, two things came up very clearly. One, how much do you earn at the start? Two, how much do you want to earn by the end? That question we noted down. The other question we wanted to answer, of what you earn, how much must you spend in a month? So obviously that then informs your budget. We were simple people, so we thought, you know what, start with food, shelter, water, clothing, basic needs, and then add one more line to cater for things like tithe, black tax, name it. So food, shelter, water, clothing, plus the fifth, which is the other. Other is basically to cater for, you know, what we as Africans struggle with, given we have extended families and things like those. Now, we decided to create budgets that should meet those 5 needs. Now, the rest of the money was what we call disposable income. So we decided, you know what, start ensuring that, one, the disposable income does not go below 40%. So you have 60% to take care of your needs. At least when we did the math, we figured that 40% is what we meant. So we figured, you know what, how about you try to put away 40% and then live within 60%. The start was very hard, but then we realized, you know what, as you're growing, the physical and the professional, chances are the amount you earn somehow will grow. Because the amount you earn somehow will grow, your 60% kind of expands. So that is the first year we saw a change in this thing called New Year's resolution. So for that money that we're putting away, what we did is we decided, one, it's a very steep target. Let's check in. Let's be accountable to ourselves. Let's check in every quarter. Let's check in every month. So we had month-end check-ins, we had quarterly check-ins. Now, at the end of 6 months, we set, so our milestone was to check if halfway through the year, we are on track. Obviously, we created our own way to measure what is on track, what isn't. So at that time, what we were just trying to do was to build the discipline of recurrent work, of working towards our goals recurrently. So we built that. But to give us like a sweetener at the end of the journey, at the end of the 6-month mark, we decided, you know what? Set up clear check-ins and then set clear rewards. That if I get to June and I've done 90% of my target, not 100, 90% of my target, we shall do X, Y, and Z. We had our own rewards really. They were a bit private, but they were motivating enough for us to, you know, to want to achieve them.
But Esther, you were only 24. You're only 24
well,
then.
Let's say we were very ambitious.
You must have been a planned kid, Esther, at this rate.
We're actually hustlers. We all began, so those friends of mine began work in their first year. I began my work in my second year. So we worked through campus as, you know, people were having fun. We kind of tried to hustle hard early on in life, but because of that, we made so many mistakes. But at that point, I remember the very first time we had a New Year's resolution or something close to it that made sense was then, because we didn't have families at that time. But previously we were thinking big. This guy was running unreasonable. I was running many things on my end. They were very early start, but because I was trying to prove to my boss at the time that I was so energetic and so brilliant, whatever it was, I was trying to work so hard. So at the time, we felt like even with how hard we were working, it wasn't making sense. So that year, having structured our New Year's resolutions in the smallest way possible, by June that year, we kind of saw that all of us actually achieved our 90% target that we wanted. Only at then we invited other people to come on board, and then we struggled as a group. But then I noticed later on that we individually took it on and it works. I learned from then, one, your body is important. Make sure that as you start the year, you want to take care of your body. You want to have a target for your own physical self. How do I want to keep this body? Because this body is what I have that's going to help me work. One. Two, professionally, where am I? Where do I want to be? What am I going to do about it this year? And then you obviously set check-in points. Three, financially. How much do I currently earn? How much do I want to earn? Is it managed? Is it achievable? And then from what you earn, break it out. 60% should be for your basic needs, 40% to try and put it away. That worked for me.
Okay. Wow. Thanks so much, Esther. We make very valid points there. The truth in our culture here, we are not used to taking care of our bodies, planning for our bodies, which are going to deliver the very many things we want to do. So that's very, very valid. Thank you, Esther. Dr. Noeline, do you want to share your screen? Can we see your face, your lovely face? I think we've not seen your face at all. As you try to share your screen, how do you plan when it comes to your finances? And does this vary dramatically with other personal or professional goals?
First of all, I don't know why you're not seeing me. Like, I am so visible on my end. I see myself. I'm in Wellbeing.
Okay.
I don't know what's wrong. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I'm actually here. Yeah, but there's a guest that is sharing. So thank you very much, Esther. I do resonate with a lot of the things that Esther has shared. Like I said, I wasn't raised to think finances or plan finances. These are things I also stumbled upon as an adult. And again, for me, it was the passion of breaking the cycle and thinking I cannot make the same mistakes my parents have made. I cannot, go down the same drain. Something has to be different. And because I love reading, I found so much knowledge in just books and being open to, especially books that have been written by people in the other culture that makes you think, okay, yeah, I know they're in a developed country and I'm in a developing country, but wait, these are things I should be thinking about. One of those books that opened my eyes was Rich Dad Poor Dad. The paradigm shift for me and thinking, okay, there's something different. So I started off with reading, and then because for me structure is easy, I wanted to find a structure that works. I wanted to find a model that works. One of the models that I was first introduced to is the 5J Jewish principle. I don't know, maybe some people have heard about it. So it's a Jewish principle that they teach their children how to manage finances from a very, very young age. And for me, it gave me something to work with. So the way the 5J works closely to what Esther was saying, they spend 50% and then they will give 10% for their tithe. They'll give 10% for generosity or what they call alms. And then they will invest 20% and save 10%. Now, just understanding that, first of all, I can break down my money in a certain way, for me was very enlightening because I'd never had it. And so I started with that and just being intentional about especially the 10% for tithe because of my Christian values. And then the generosity, oftentimes the generosity would go into my savings. The saving culture was the last thing I learned. It took me a long time. I struggled. And then I went through the literature, financial literacy, and learned about just understanding the concept of saving. What is it? And growing up, I thought, when I first thought about savings, I thought it's, I can purpose, set a goal and say, I'm going to save 50K every month or 100K every month. And that sounds like a very noble thing, and it is a noble thing. But it also got me thinking, what happens, for example, this is graduation week. What happens when on your graduation, suddenly people fundraise for you and you have like a 1.5 million that you didn't plan for, that you didn't budget for? Seems like my camera has been has been disabled, but yeah, what happens with stuff like that? And typically, what for most people will do will be to spend more. Ideally, for many of us, when you get more money, you tend to spend more. Esther, can you hear me? I know my mic is off, but my camera is disabled.
Yes, I can hear you, Dr. Noeline, very clearly.
Oh, thank you. So the tendency is when you get more money, most people want to spend more because now you have more spending capacity. And so I love the concept of working in percentages compared to saying, I want to save this amount of money. Because what happens for days like that, when you get money, at least it used to happen for me when I'd get money that I didn't plan for, I would spend more because, yeah, I've already taken off whatever I planned to save and my finances weren't really growing. But when you say I am going to if I may work with Esther's percentage, if you say you're going to save 40% of all the money you get, now that's a game changer because that money could be 10,000, it could be 100,000, it could be a million, it could be a billion, and you're working with percentages. So for me, it's the attitude of developing that discipline and the culture, where being able to save and invest is not a target, moving from target and saying, I want to achieve this, to it becoming a lifestyle where you're continuously conscious of the inflow and the outflow of your finances and being able to track those percentages. That for me has been very, very helpful working in percentages because then it doesn't matter how much money I have. But then also being able to do it consistently and not saying only I will only save from my salary or I'll only invest from this amount of money, but just being able to recognize that all the money that comes in has to be planned in these buckets that I'm working with. So it's very important to develop that discipline, the habit, until it comes to a point where you can do it subconsciously. For many of us, whether Christians or Muslims, you've come to a place where you can subconsciously give. You don't even think so much about it because you have done it over and over. So it's training yourself to a place where you can subconsciously save, where you can almost subconsciously invest because it's become your way of life and not just I want to hit this target. And then when you hit the target, what happens? And the other thing, to echo what Esther was saying about understanding your saving and investment capacity. So, which is the difference between your earning capacity and how much you're spending, will tell you how much you can actually save because it's hard to invest if you can't save. And that's where some people are consistently setting investment targets, but you do not have a saving capacity. And so you go in a cycle where you're consistently frustrated. So figuring out what's your saving capacity, and then now you can figure out your investment strategy. So that's what I found to be relevant for me.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. The truth is, our finances mirror our behavior. And thank Dr. Noeline and Esther for those submissions. So this means that despite our best goals and dreams, what we do on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis matters. What culture or habits can we nurture to achieve our financial goals? Esther, let me start with you in a few minutes.
Thank you, Irene. What culture or habits should we nurture if we are to get a chance to achieve our goals? That's a very, very critical question. There are two things. One, you must understand that life happens. Yeah. So we set goals and then life happens. So we must not wait for life to happen for us to now realize, hey, life can actually happen. As we set our goals, it's important for us to understand that omuntu ajja kufiirwa, ajja kulwaza. I think for purposes of this conversation, people will lose a loved one, people will fall sick in your family, people will get married in your family. Given the nature of our upbringing, we are very communal. We are very communal in the sense that for anything that happens in community, as an adult, you're required to participate in solving the problem of community. So what is important is you understand that you're going to be a member of the community right from the start. So you know that the community will require when someone dies, they'll require you to turn up, but also to contribute. When someone's getting married, they will require you to turn up and to contribute. Etc, etc, etc. So you must plan for that at the start. Secondly, you must create not too many goals, but also not one goal. As we set up our financial goals, especially at the beginning of the year, usually what happens is there are things that happen in our lives. We know that we have children have to go to school. Therefore, one of our goals is to make sure we're able to fund our children's education. But also we are aspirational as human beings. So you want to close this year better than you started it, right? So you want to be a little bit wealthier than you were when the year was starting. So usually, in my experience, many people in their aspirational nature at the start of the year are very big on setting up a goal to be wealthy or wealthier than they were as the year was starting. Very aspirational and justifiably so, because why do we work? We work to be better than we were before. So that's one goal that I've seen many people set. The challenge though is if you set one goal, wealth, I want to be better than I was before. You get yourself into a situation where if someone dies, whatever you were trying to put towards wealth is what's going to solve, what's going to, buy the porridge that they are going to cook at the funeral or whatever it is, or things. Yes, you're going to pay Rubugo from your wealth.
Yeah.
Guess when you'll become wealthy? Because people die every day, right? So what we've done, at least in our world of advising people to do a bit better on their goals is, one, set goals that you see are going to be achievable. Two, as you're setting these goals, yes, it's extremely important that you work towards your wealth, because at the end of the day, your net effect should be positive as the year is ending. Net effect being positive is basically you being a bit richer than you were at the start of the year. In terms of assets, not cash. That is one. Number two, we've said that as the year goes, life happens. So it's important that you have some kind of emergencies package to help you deal with life. If someone falls sick, I remember someday someone was very frustrated, and then at the office, and then someone else just shouted, "Hey, you, has your child swallowed a spade? Do you need money from your emergencies goal?" So when that person swallows a spade and they need money from the emergencies goal, the emergencies goal should be there. If the emergencies goal isn't there, you're going to have to pick from whatever you were putting away to make you wealthier than you started the year. Three, the things that we call ongoing expenditures. It's important that as you start your year with the bucket of income that you have at the start of the year, you have a clear planning model for those so that they do not become expenditures of your wealth. Your wealth is out of the basic needs. Have the basic needs budgeted for, but set your wealth and focus. The second point is, well, I'm just getting into it, focusing. Making sure that if you're saying that I want to be wealthier than I was at the start of the year, obviously, depending on your personal situation, all our situations are unique. My picture of success for wealth may be different from yours, Irene, and it will definitely be different from everyone else's. What is important that once you define that picture of success, how wealthier you want to be than you currently are, You then break it down into smaller, chewable pieces. For example, if I want to have 10 million at the end of the year 2024, and I want to start today, 30th January, but my salary for Jan has already solved my 90 days of January problems. It means I'm going to start on 1st February and tell myself, how do I get 10 million across 11 months? It's extremely important that you build a habit of consistency and discipline when you are building a wealth journey. Consistency is key because it does not break your back. It allows you to do other things, but it helps you consistently work towards whatever you set for yourself. That is extremely important. I've seen people who say, you know what, I have 5 million out of my 10 million, let me throw this 5 million. That's great. It gives you a great start. But you must create some kind of repetitive mode if you're to work towards that goal. Consistency is important, even if you have that very big package at the start. We've seen people who do a big package and then, because they haven't tried to nurture their habit of consistency, they now start to milk the big package because, you know, that big package literally sucked the life out of them. So it's important that you also remember to live, right? Do your life, do your budgeting, put away the disposable, make sure it's not in a saving mode. It is in a mode that grows it or moves that money through time. You probably will notice that the prices of goods and services keeps going up, not down. So if you pick your money and put it in some saving place somewhere, and you wake up at the end of the year, and that money is still the same way you put it, it will be great, but it won't have served you, or it won't have done you justice, because the price of sugar will have gone up, the price of fuel will have gone up, the price of food will have gone up, the price of rent will have gone up. So what that will do for you is the purchasing power that you will have with that money of yours that you've spent, that you've saved, will be much lower. And therefore, it will bring a disservice to you. So as you plan to start your year strong, it's extremely important that you start your year strong with an investment model. So the money is moving in terms of value through the time it's been invested. So for me, setting a start date is important. Like Dr. Noeline said, it's important that you're working towards something, because if you don't have that thing you're working towards, whatever comes first will just derail you. 3, you must trust the process. Sometimes 3 months in, 4 months in, you don't see the growth happening as fast as you wanted it. Friends, I urge you, trust the process. It's extremely important that in the journey of investing, you trust the process. Investing has never been a short-term game. It's a long-term game, just like achieving any other goal that will move you. For you to be who you want to be, it won't be overnight, right?
Yeah.
The other thing that I've seen, or at least I've learned early, is when I look at the statistics that are publicly available, only a few people have a retirement account in this country. And those are people that have NSSF.
The lucky ones.
There are very few. And even we that have those accounts, we many times want access to our money. Because of that, 99% of the population has no chance to invest towards their retirement. Now, what's interesting is even those who have retirement funds, let's say in NSSF, many of those only have that as their only investment. 5% of your money and 10% of your employer's money, and then it's invested. So we find that after our many years of work, there's almost nothing.
You don't have something to fall back to.
I remember last year, one of my eldest, my cousin, I call her my sister. My elder sister got cancer, and as we all know, that's a very expensive conversation to have. And I remember my brother telling me, many of us are one small sickness away from poverty. Yeah. Why? Because as we were setting these goals, we were just working towards one goal. We didn't create that channel that will take care of leakages, unexpected leakages. So I also think it's intentional for us to build that emergencies leakage, because sickness happens, because death happens, because joblessness happens.
Yeah.
Because businesses run out of cash flow. Because life is not as easy as we thought it was when we were younger. In fact, it gets harder as you grow because the responsibilities become more. Now, if you have split your earnings in a proportionate format, percentage-wise, the conversation becomes a bit easier, because at the back of your mind, 20% or 40%, depending on your unique need, is mine. That is going to help you grow and make you better than you started, right? Then you put the percentage that will be your buffer for emergencies, for fallbacks. Now, the third thing is you reward yourself at the different points of check-in. So that means you must check in. How well am I doing against the targets I set for myself? And that reward must be juicy enough for you to want to work towards achieving it. A few minutes, I think I've used many. Over to you, Irene.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Esther. That rings a bell. I'm sure our audience relates. You relate on an individual level. And the fact is, the way we earn, spend, invest, we look different at various stages of life. Yeah, I like when you mentioned that when you're younger, you used to see things differently. And then when you get older, life happens. I don't know why they never told us this when we were young. If they told us, maybe we'd think, different. So here on this call, for example, we may have some in their 20s, just entering the job market, excited. This week is graduation week at Makerere University. So people are happy, they're getting the new jobs. Or for me, I got in Umeme. Or for me, I got in Stanbic Bank. People are excited. They're entering the job market. While others who are at a stage where they have greater responsibilities, like school-going children, aging parents, when their paycheck comes in, they're thinking of all the things. Oh, mommy needs to replenish, this drug. Or, daddy ABCD, or the kids are going back to school. You guys know this week and next week. It's a very interesting week for most parents, except the ones on this call. The one on this call, I'm sure, have their goals and probably have saved up up front. So we're going to share with you some life stages. Speak of the opportunities and the potential traps we need to acknowledge on our journey of building wealth. First income, ready to invest, young family, aging, retired parents, you're approaching retirement. So all the stages of life, it's so important for us to plan at each of these stages because there are different responsibilities at each of these stages. And so it's so important. So our audience, I'm sure you are already having your questions ready. We are almost rolling into that session where we have questions. So each of us has financial goals we are striving towards. This could be buying a car, starting a business, owning your home, giving your children quality education. Most of these goals need a considerable amount of money. Yeah. And at XENO, we pride ourselves in the goal-based investment approach. Keeping money without a purpose, is part of the reason why we spend it. You pass anywhere and just keep swiping. You keep swiping. We become saviors of our clans. For every problem, you're the savior because you don't have purpose for your money. So at XENO, we tell people, we teach people that if we only save and invest with a purpose in mind, I like what Dr. Noeline and Esther have shared. It would be nice that you have a future in mind. So, and I know again, in our culture, we think of now, you get a salary, between now and 30th. And we don't look at, what about December? What about beyond December? What about 5 years? I mean, I may not have a child now, but what if I'm getting married in 2 years? Or what if I need something in 3 years? So again, these are some of the things we have not been taught to plan ahead. We think of today, in fact, there's this common saying in Uganda, nti mmere ya leero. Tewali wagamba mmere ya nkya oba mmere ya juicy or, the next few months. Yeah. So we help people to plan, to save and invest. So on our platform, you're able to set up a goal. And when you set up a goal, this can be at an individual level. With your profile, you're able to set up different goals. You can set up an individual account for your personal goals. It could be a joint account with a partner. It could be a group account. Group can be anything. It could be a circle, it could be a club, it could be a family, any organized group of people that have a common financial goal. Yeah. So as long as you articulate it on our platform, you're able to set up the goal and then be able to fund towards that goal as you have answered the questions. So we take you through a profiling process to kind of understand your needs and your personal circumstances, and also to allow you to think and be able to make the right decision, because money is not one of those things you should just do blindly, like our ladies have said it. You need to be able to think through what you're doing. Don't just do things by bandwagon or because Esther is doing this or because Noeline is doing this. No, think through it. And again, I'll use Dr. Noeline's words, be intentional. So that is what we do at XENO. So when you set up your goal, what we do for you is invest this money in traditional assets, and we provide you a dashboard for you to be able to monitor your account. Yeah, so I know that for most of us who are on this call have probably interfaced with the platform. Again, I'll say it is myxeno.com. MyXeno is MYXENO. So go there. If you haven't been there, please go onto our website, select the goal. It could even be a custom goal. We have a list of goals we've mentioned up there, but in case none of those works for you, you can custom name it. You want to go to a trip, that trip you want to go to Cape Town. I don't know what it is, that new car, your dream car, whatever it is, our platform is able to do that for you. And again, if you have questions that we may not be able to answer on this platform, on this webinar, today, 0392-177-488 is our telephone number. It's available on WhatsApp. You could give us a call and then we'll be able to help you. At this point, I want to open the floor for questions. I know our time is already spent. We have about 24 minutes. So the audience for all our questions. Please let them come through so that these lovely ladies can respond to them. I'll look in this chat and see if there is any. Okay, so look. Okay, Leah Wamala is asking, is XENO a government entity or an UBRA entity? Esther, do you want to answer that? Is XENO a government entity or an UBRA entity?
Thank you, Irene. XENO is not a government entity. XENO is an investment management company. We like to call them fund managers. That helps you to achieve your personal finance goals or personal investment goals by planning, saving, and investing for them. Then we give you a way you can monitor how you're working towards those goals. XENO is privately owned, but it's licensed and regulated by the government under the Capital Markets Act and the Retirement Benefits Act. We are licensed by government through the Capital Markets Authority, given that we are a fund manager, but also we are licensed, a fund manager that does what we call unit trust funds, what is also called unit trusts. But we are also licensed by the Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority because we help different people to plan, save, and invest for their retirement. XENO is Ugandan owned and run, which is why I think it's very passionate. XENO is very, very passionate on ensuring that the different people in this country are able to achieve their unique financial goals, even with what they earn and their constraints. Over to you, Irene.
Okay, thank you. Someone wants you to re-echo how the 5 basic needs that you spend on the 60% of your income. Esther.
Thank you very much. I've seen this question is from Lillian. Lillian is a friend of mine that I met probably over a year ago when we were trying to solve this same puzzle. How can she works very hard and yet she spends, at that point she was spending a lot of it without keeping any for herself. So I remember she said, I'm growing old. She was lying. And she said, I'm growing old and I'm not seeing any of the money I make. Yeah, so when I saw that question, I knew who it was from because I remember this conversation. So there are 5 key things that I usually ensure that I plan for and always encourage people to plan for. Food for the month, water, shelter, clothing.
Okay, thank you.
Then fifth, that is very important. It's important because it's fluid. It's called the others. Others is where you find tithe, which is 10% of what you earn for those that subscribe to it. And that's where you find black tax, which if you don't control, it will be 70% of what you earn or more. So others is very fluid. Others can take all the money that you earn if you do not structure it. So for me, for my 60%, it is food, shelter, water, clothing, and then others. You notice I don't say primary healthcare because I'm lucky that I've gotten an opportunity for insurance to take care of that. But if you don't have that, then healthcare is important for you to take care of. You can take care of healthcare in one of 2 ways because healthcare is not a thing you do every month. Like you must fall sick every month, you know. it can be something you plan to resolve with your emergencies goal, right? So on the side of the 40%, pick 75% of that bucket. You put it on your wealth, on that thing that you want to focus on. It doesn't have to be wealth, it can be anything. And then the 25% goes to the emergency side. Obviously, it starts to fluctuate a bit when you get into the parenting model, where you're required to pay school fees every 3 months. So with that case, what usually is a good way to look at a good way to do it is, one, plan for your school fees early. Then split it as a school fees goal across the month, so that when it's time to pay, you're not picking a big amount of money from your usual earnings to throw it into school fees, because then that drains your pocket, and then it's going to lag the other goals that you're working towards. So it's extremely important that first you settle the basics, then you ensure that the others is structured, and you make sure that that portion of others is enough. Like when it's finished, the others are finished. Then you create what's for your wealth, or whatever it is you're focusing on at that point in time in your life. And then you create a 25% of what is left for your emergencies. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Esther. Dr. Noeline, there is a question here from Atuhaire Bennett. Thank you so much. I'm a young professional, a petroleum engineer to be exact. Our kind of job is one that keeps you like on site for like 30 days and maybe rest for 14 days. For someone in such a situation, apart from unit trusts, what other investments would you advise me to invest in? Dr. Noeline, are you there?
Yes, I am here. I know you can see me, but I'm here.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for the question. So I would say, in all sincerity, I can't tell you X, Y, Z. My suggestion would be sit with a financial advisor, just like investment advisor, financial advisor. I think one of the mistakes sometimes we do is when we copy and paste, because you are at a different stage in life. Probably what I might invest in may not even work for you, because we are at different stages of life. Like Esther was saying, as you grow, your needs are going to shift, your responsibilities are going to shift. So working with an expert, a consultant in that area, and sometimes we fear the word consultant or advisor because we think, oh, Esther is going to ask me for so much money. Please note, sometimes it's part of their job. So walk in. It's fear that is holding you back. Walk into these institutions, call XENO. They've given you the numbers and say, this is where I am. This is what my finances look like. Advise me. Because getting technical advice will help you make better informed investment decisions instead of saying, oh, so-and-so is investing here. Let me put my money here. So many people have lost their money. For those of you that probably have heard about all these networking schemes, that's why people are losing money. But sit with an expert, they will advise you. And also, I'd like to echo that as your life progresses, your investment options and saving options are also going to change. When you're coming from campus, school fees is the last thing on your mind. But then as you go along, then you begin to think about saving. And also, for example, Esther is in formal employment. I'm self-employed. So even our packages are going to be different. How she'll think about insurance is different from how I'm going to think about insurance. So because we are at different points and in different needs, it always makes sense to sit with someone that would help you make a decision for that stage of your life. And also as your life changes, continue with those conversations so you can explore. So unfortunately, I can't give you ABC. The best I can say is find an expert to walk you through that journey.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Someone is asking, what happens when the goal duration is reached? For example, I set a 1-year goal and I'm soon approaching it. So what will happen to the money after that period if I don't withdraw it? Yes, Esther.
Sorry, Irene, if you could allow me to supplement comment on Dr. Noeline's
Oh,
submission?
yes, sure. Sure.
At the end of the day, it is important for you to know why you're doing something, right? It's important for you to know why you're investing. And there are a number of reasons why people invest. Some people invest to accumulate capital. Other people invest to get some kind of liquidity at the point when they need it.
Mm-hmm.
Other people, which is usually cash flow, to increase cash flow. Other people invest for legacy reasons. Legacy could be, I want to be the mgaga kuchalo. Because you know, it's prestigious. So legacy reasons are usually prestigious.
Okay.
So depending on what point you're at, your nature of investing will be informed by what you're investing towards, right? Yes, you don't have to do unit trusts, because at the end of the day, it might not be what you're trying to do. If it's, let's say, if it's a legacy that you're looking for, you might not get that using this channel. But it's important that you know what you're trying to work towards, so that you can know the how, you can know how you will work towards it. We live in the side of the world where, lucky for us, food is cheap. Also, rent is still considerably cheap. So our cost of living compared to the other side of the world is relatively manageable. If you look at the people that have gone to work in the Middle East or in these countries, dream countries, quote unquote, where we want to go, they will tell you they earn a lot of money, but their cost of living is very high. Therefore, their disposable income becomes a bit relatively small as a net effect. What is important is you know where you are at, and then you determine what you want. So that by the time you go to an advisor to say, I am here, I want to go there, how can you help me structure my investment journey? It will be easier for you if you know what you want. You see, and Irene, I think you talked about this earlier. Many of us have gone into investments without a what. We don't know what we want to achieve. We just know. We just ask, where can I invest? You see, the problem with that is you easily be swayed because you don't have that that thing that you're working towards, that target that you set for yourself. So it's important that the what is clearly defined before you embark on the how. And yes, to Dr. Noeline's submission, it's important that you get advised, because like anyone else in their day job, investments is a very tricky conversation, and it is easier if you're advised.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Esther. I think one of the plagues we have in our country is we don't seek professional advice. You know, you feel sick, you feel a bit weak, like, let me just take Panadol. You know, you don't want to go and see a doctor and say, you know what, there's this pain that is not the usual. So the same applies to, you know, finances and any other thing that you want to do. Seek professional advice. You know, in the times of our parents, they didn't have them, so they were forgiven. They could easily be forgiven. But for us now, there is no excuse. Seek guidance. Seek guidance. Esther and Dr. Noeline will leave their contacts in a moment, not too long from now. So if you need to reach out to them, please do. They're available. Don't die in silence. Yeah, don't die in silence. We take one last question. Thanks for this grotesque meeting. Shall you kindly share a link to the entire meeting after, just to keep recapping on the sessions after? I'm a young XENO member. It's worth it. Oh, thanks. Thanks for that one. There is usually a link, and also on YouTube. These will stay on the YouTube in a few days from now. When investing with XENO, are you allowed to make withdrawals before a goal has been reached? Yes, I want to take that.
Yes, I will take that. Thank you. When you're investing with XENO, are you allowed to withdraw before your goal is reached? Yes, you are. The beauty of the investment journey, unlike many other forms of putting your money, is you don't get locked in unless you opt to get locked in. You can't invest what you don't have, but also you can't invest even if you're dying, if you get what I mean. Like, you know, it's not a case of invest no. It's invest and enjoy it and grow with it. So make it as consistent as a lifestyle would be, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's a lifetime thing, it gives you the flexibility to have access to some of it. So basically, you're allowed to fall and then get back up and continue running, right? You're allowed to slow down and then get back up and continue running. You're allowed to jump if you want. You're allowed to fly. What's important is you stay on track. So yes, you can withdraw and then proceed as and when you're ready. We've seen scenarios where someone was consistent and then they lost their job. Yeah, because of the sudden event, they get they struggle. We saw that a lot in COVID. And because of that, people had to get access to this money to take them through 6 months, 8 months as they're waiting on their next job opportunity. Yes, they were working towards wealth. And then a situation happened that took them out of their job. They found themselves in situations where they needed money. Lucky for them, they had investments somewhere, investments in financial assets that were liquid. Liquid is they're easily convertible into cash. So the financial assets, bonds, money markets, treasury bills are friendly in that sense that they allow you to be able to liquidate, sort your problem, and then proceed along the journey. What is important though is you don't forget the reason why you're doing it, and therefore you, in your own way, work towards being consistent to achieve the goal you set for yourselves. The one you set at the start of the year.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Esther. Wow. You've been a lovely audience. And the ladies, I am very, very happy that I've been your host because I've equally learned. I've taken some notes and I'm going to go back and listen to this. Thank you so much, our audience. Thank you, our guests, for sharing your time with us this evening. I just want you to give us, in 1 minute, can you give us how can our audience reach you and give us your last remarks? Let me start with you, Esther. If someone wants to reach out to you and know more about the advisory you're talking about, how can they reach you? And give us your last remarks as well.
All right, thank you very much. My last remarks, I am very passionate about helping people, especially in groups, to do things like this, to start strong, to build their investment plans at the start, and also to walk through the journey with them along the way till the end of the year. I am in that zone where I'm willing and happy to help for the most part for free. So I am here, happy to advise. I am accessible and available on mobile. I think I'm going to type it in the chat, but my number is 0781 354891. I'm going to type it in the chat. I'm also accessible on email, and that's esther.nakangu. I'll type it in the chat as well. esther.nakangu@myxeno.com. I will type it in the chat. So it's important, friends, that if you have companies, institutions where you work and you'd like to have conversations like these, families where as a family you put together money, feel free to reach out to us. We are happy to help you invest that money as a family so that you can grow together and you have transparency. You're all able to see how this money is growing. We are also able to help you structure this investment journey that you want to embark on. So we are happy to help. We are a team of young, vibrant, and I'd like to say brilliant human beings that are ready to help you to achieve your investment goals. Feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to help. Thank you.
Thanks, Esther. Dr. Noeline, in 2 minutes, your contact and last remarks. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Irene. So my contact, I am not very good on phone, but people can reach me through LinkedIn. I don't have AKAs, so it's Noeline Kirabo, the way it's written. Send me a message on LinkedIn or via my website, noelinkirabo.com. On the contact us, I'll be able to respond. And then as CHUSA, we do sometimes financial literacy training. So follow up on the pages. When that comes up, you can always sign up. And we have a virtual academy as well, where you can learn about basic financial management. My final shot would be start early. Do not wait to grow old to start earning. The one piece of wisdom I wish I'd known earlier is start saving the day you start earning. And for many of us, when did we start earning? In your secondary pocket money, free money that you used to receive and spend to the dot. So start early. And there's the law of compounding effect. If you started saving 1,000, over 10 years, it's going to compound into a whole different amount. But if you start saving 10 years from now, even if you're saving 10,000, it will take you a while for you to catch up with that kind of person. So start early, start where you are and build that discipline and the culture of saving, investing, and look at different alternatives, learn from the experts. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much, Dr. Noeline. Thank you so much. Our time is fast spent, but there's a link in the chat. We really appreciate your feedback because this allows us to bring more of these enjoyable webinars and get all these exceptional guests like we've had tonight. Please share your feedback in the form. A link is being shared there. Thank you so much. Please follow us on YouTube. Follow us on X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and visit us at www.myxeno.com. Thank you very much. We will leave it here. Have a wonderful night and happy investing.